News Radio 1080 KRLD.
Mother's Day, normally a huge one for restaurants, right? But what should we expect this year? Kind of easing out of the pandemic, right? Lisa W. Miller Associates did a consumer study on this, and Lisa joins us now. What'd you find?
Yes, and I've been tracking the COVID pandemic since the beginning of March of last year, and I call it the journey back to joy. And what I wanted to know for this particular weekend is, for restaurants, Mother's Day is like the Super Bowl. You know, it's the single biggest day in the restaurant industry. And I wanted to understand, are consumers really ready to go back out there? And what we found in the data just from last weekend is that 31% of families are going to be engaging with restaurants to celebrate Mother's Day. So it's really exciting for the restaurant industry that, you know, people are ready to celebrate.
And when you broke it down, because this was a nationwide survey, but when you broke it down by our area, our region, the South, we seem to be most apt to go out there and go to a restaurant, correct?
Right, absolutely. And what's interesting, and you're totally right, is that so 31% was the nationwide study, but in the South, the number of families, it's actually up to 40%. And you think about it, you know, being in the South, you know, we have been open here longer, you know, kind of led some of the recovery. And it just says even more in the South that moms are going to have that special day and restaurants are going to be a big part of it. So it's significantly higher in the South for going out for Mother's Days to restaurants.
So there are different ways to engage with restaurants. Is it all eating in here, or is it some takeout as well?
Well, what we looked at too is because even last year, obviously we were all kind of stuck at COVID, and so takeout was the only option. But even pre-COVID, Mother's Day and takeout was kind of a thing. But what's different this year is that of that 31% that I mentioned earlier nationwide, 10% of that is actually going to be takeout. And that's going to be for a couple of reasons. One is people may not be quite ready to sit down inside, but also it's just, you know, it's going to be a packed, you know, it's a very busy day. And so there's a couple of reasons leading to that high takeout number as well. But that'll be a good thing for, you know, people that want to have choices on Mother's Day.
Your research over this last year has shown that women have been more anxious during the pandemic to go out, potentially expose themselves to COVID-19. But there has been a big shift here recently as we lead up to Mother's Day.
Yes, and what we're seeing in the data is, you know, back a year ago, there was this big gender divide where men were much, much ready to get back to their normal activities, where women were significantly more anxious. And what's happened in the last, let's call it last 6 weeks or so, you know, with stimulus checks, with people getting vaccinated, there's been a material shift in women actually being much more comfortable going out in general, but specifically to restaurants. So all of these things are really a positive convergence, you know, to help Mother's Day be a big success for the restaurants.
That's consumer strategy and marketing research expert Lisa W. Miller. Appreciate her time.